Rivers make up a minuscule 0.0001% of our planet's total water. Yet they still manage to hide a whole host of truly nightmarish monsters within their depths. From a fish-human hybrid to a real-life zombie, you'd better hope you never come face to face with any of them. So get your life jacket at the ready, because we're about to go on a terrifying tour of the scariest creatures found in rivers. Terror on the Thames. Britain's capital city, London, is famous for Big Ben, Buckingham Palace, and all the stolen stuff in the British Museum. But you might not have heard about the creepy monsters lurking in its famous River Thames. Well, buckle up then, because you're about to. It all started back in 1953 when Canvey Island, an area near the mouth of the river, suffered terrible flooding that took the lives of 59 people. The following year, a strange bulbous monster washed up on the riverbank. According to reports, the creature had bulging eyes, reddish skin, and two leg-like protrusions. So, despite being aquatic, it could apparently walk upright. Zoologists were utterly stumped, but rather than study it further, they had it sent away and incinerated. I mean, fair enough, I'm not complaining, but that seems like a hasty way of destroying evidence if you ask me. Was the nightmarish creature the result of some failed government experiment that had to be covered up? Regardless, the incident faded into the past. But then just 1 year later, a similar dead creature washed up on the shores of the island. Except this time, it was almost twice as big. So what the hell was going on? Had the aliens finally landed? Well, I doubt it. That first creature was probably just a monkfish, which are terrifying, yes, but somehow not alien. The scary sea creatures can grow over 5 feet long as well, which would explain the size of the second monster. As for that description of its legs, it was probably just media hyperbole, as monkfish do have oddly shaped fins. More suspicious is why the scientists were so keen to destroy the first specimen. Who knows, maybe it really was an alien. Either way, there's no way you'd catch me anywhere near one of these monstrosities. Killer croc. Northeastern Africa's Nile River is teeming with horrifying and deadly creatures. But the Nile crocodile is easily the scariest of them all. These huge monsters have the strongest bite of any animal alive, capable of crushing you with 5,000 pounds of pure power. That's like being run over by 2 Honda Civics at the same time. And once this mean-looking croc has a hold of you, it ain't letting go. Growing to a whopping 14 feet long and weighing nearly 2,400 pounds, the Nile crocodile is powerful enough to pin any prey it catches underwater until they drown. And I mean any prey. They'll munch away on pretty much anything that crosses their path, from zebras to hippos and even other crocodiles. But worst of all, they have a real taste for human. Back in 2005, a Nile crocodile named Gustave became one of the most infamous man-eaters of all time for snatching as many as 300 people from the banks of the Ruzizi River in Burundi. That's one busy croc. Whilst formidable though, if you ever come face to face with one of these dastardly deathbringers, you might have one chance of survival. Though their bite is immensely powerful, the muscles they use to open their mouth are surprisingly weak. Because of this, it's remarkably easy to hold their jaws shut, if you can manage not to panic and pee yourself first, that is. I'm just gonna go ahead and recommend not getting anywhere near these guys in the first place though. You know what they say, don't rile the Nile. Luckily, if I feel like fishing, I don't have to worry about getting crunched by a croc. Thanks to Fishing Clash, I've got the best fishing spots right in my pocket. It couldn't be simpler swapping out your rods, adding power-ups, or upgrading your gear to catch even bigger fish, and all with mind-blowing graphics. You can even team up with friends and compete to see who grabs the catch of the day. If you download the mobile app using this QR code and use the gift code BEAMAZED, you'll get a 3-star fishing rod, a rare mythical dolphin fish lure, 50 luck power-ups, and 30 weight power-ups for free. What's more, something spooky is under the surface this Halloween. Take part in eerie events, daily riddles, and special competitions to win all sorts of spooky season rewards. So make sure you download Fishing Clash and enter the code BEAMAZED to reel in all the gear to get yourself started. Stealthy Slitherer. Of all the ways you could die, drowning has got to be one of the worst. The absolute worst way, though, is drowning while being held underwater by a massive 30-foot-long green anaconda that's squeezing you so hard it's like an elephant is sat on your chest. Seriously, green anacondas can crush you with that much force. So I'd advise staying out of the many South American rivers they make their home. Despite spending most of their life underwater though, the huge snakes can actually breathe underwater. To make up for this seemingly massive oversight by nature, their nostrils are on the very top of their head, along with their eyes. This means they can pop slightly above the water's surface to breathe and watch prey whilst keeping their giant bodies concealed. And although Hollywood has portrayed anacondas as vicious human hunters, there aren't any confirmed cases of them ever swallowing humans. Which isn't to say they couldn't. Anacondas' jaws are connected by super stretchy ligaments, which allow them to open incredibly wide and swallow prey much larger than themselves. However, big meals are pretty cumbersome and come with a risk of injury, as well as taking way longer to digest. So human probably doesn't look that appetizing. Phew. Reminds me of that time I swallowed a hot dog without chewing and burped ketchup for an entire week. What? We've all been there. If you're looking for something a little easier to digest than an unchewed hot dog though, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons? That way you'll never be hungry for incredible facts again. All done? Right. Let's get this show back on the road. Fang Goliath. If you're going to name a creature after a biblical giant, it better be a humongous creature. Well, the Goliath tigerfish, found largely in Africa's Congo River basin, doesn't disappoint. This monstrosity can grow absolutely huge, with the largest specimen on record reaching almost 5 feet and weighing 154 pounds. That's bigger than some people I know, and its teeth are much bigger than anyone's I know, with all 32 razor-sharp gnashers growing up to an inch long. Thankfully, these beasts don't grow quite as large as the ones seen in this viral Photoshop image. But even so, there's not much comfort to be taken, seeing as the bite of a real Goliath tigerfish is so powerful it can cut its prey clean in half, and even slice straight through a crocodile's tough hide. So there's no chance I'd be putting my fingers anywhere near that thing. What's more, the violent creatures don't even chew. Once they've sliced their prey up, they greedily swallow the chunks of flesh whole. They have terrific eyesight too, so they're unlikely to ever miss their mark. Man, just look at that horrifying death stare. Wait, so they probably see any bright, white, delicious-looking creatures nearby and a heartbeat. Looks like you can scratch the Congo straight off my bucket list. Better anonymous. I'm not much of a gambling man, but if you asked me to put $10 on what the deadliest land mammal was, I'd probably say something like a lion. Well, I'd be wrong, because more than 500 people every year lose their life to hippopotamuses. Despite being technically land mammals, hippos are found in rivers throughout Africa, and they're incredibly aggressive, territorial creatures known for charging down boats that encroach on their habitats. Back in 2014 in Niger, one brutally capsized a boat carrying 13 people, and unfortunately, it was fatal for all involved. The colossal river beasts weigh up to 3,000 pounds, which is 3 times heavier than a horse. Despite this, they can still charge at 19 miles per hour, nearly 3 times the speed of a human. So if one of the muscular mammals was running straight at you, you wouldn't stand a chance. Oh, and they also have giant canine tusks which grow to over a foot in length. They use these to assert dominance over other hippos, but they wouldn't be afraid to use them on you too if they saw you as a threat. And if you see one yawning, don't be fooled into thinking it's ready for a nap. Showing those big gnashers is actually a surefire sign that they're looking for a fight. And this time, I'm betting on the hippo. Mersey Mystery Monster. We've already visited the UK once to investigate the Thames mysterious monsters. But it's not the only British river to have played host to some seriously suspicious creatures. The River Mersey sits in the northwest of England, and in 2018 a strange dead mammal washed up on one of its banks near Liverpool. The person that found it at first thought it was just a seal. However, the closer they got to the creature, the more peculiar it became. 2 fangs stuck out from its bottom lip, and it was slimy to the touch. Strangest of all, it had no eyes, or even sockets where eyes once could have been. Ugh. Thankfully, but pretty grossly, this was probably due to the body being majorly decomposed, rather than it belonging to an eyeless river mutant. This meant scientists couldn't identify it though, and the best guess we have is it was either a seal or a porpoise that got fatally stuck on land. Aww. And just 11 miles away in Crosby, an even more mystifying creature had washed up only a year earlier. This thing was furry with black spines along its back and was also badly decomposing. Sounds like the food under my bed in my college days. Despite this, scientists managed to identify it as a sea mouse. These aren't really mice, but weird marine worms that normally inhabit deep sea waters. So what was this one doing at a river mouth in Merseyside? Or worse, what left it there? What do you reckon? Let me know down in the comments. The swimming dead. As I get older, I'm getting more worried about gray hairs, but at least I'm aging a hell of a lot more gracefully than Pacific salmon do. That's because these eerie fish literally rot alive, leaving them looking like the undead. Jeez. So what the hell's going on? Well, Pacific salmon start their lives in freshwater rivers before migrating out to sea. However, towards the end of their life cycle, they swim back towards fresh water to breed. This swim is so long and arduous that the salmon have to throw all of their energy reserves at it, and even neglect eating. Which means by the time they finish their journey, the fish have no energy left at all. What's more, Pacific salmon have terrible immune systems, so when combined with starvation and zero energy, the weakened fish become prone to bacterial and fungal infections. Then decomposition begins. Chunks of flesh drop off their bodies, and their eyes even disintegrate completely, all while in a semi-living state of being. Damn, seems like a pretty horrendous way to go, right? But it serves a highly important purpose. When the adults decompose, they provide vital nutrients to over 100 different species in the river's ecosystem, some of which the freshly spawned salmon feed off of. The well-fed juveniles then have a better chance of survival and can come back in greater numbers when it's their turn to zombify. Yay! Just as long as they don't develop an insatiable craving for human flesh, I'm good with it. Hollywood horror. There are rumors of a vicious fish in the rivers of South America that can be whipped into a rabid frenzy by a single drop of blood. That fish, of course, is the piranha. Thanks to Hollywood movies, the much maligned creature has developed a fearsome reputation. And although piranha's love of blood has been exaggerated, that doesn't mean they're incapable of doing serious damage. Fine rows of razor-sharp serrated teeth line the inside of their jaws, which can tear through nearly anything. And considering their insanely powerful jaw muscles can bite down with a force 3 times greater than that of their body weight, this guy must be insane. Generally, they'll devour anything that they can get their hands on too. So although human isn't often on the menu, if they feel threatened or get super hungry, they won't think twice about snapping at you. Sounds like my ex when she skipped lunch. Recently though, there's been a strange spike in unprovoked piranha attacks. Indeed, 4 people were killed and 20 more injured in inexplicably aggressive attacks in Paraguay in 2022. Is this the start of some terrible piranha-related B-movie being played out in real life? Hopefully not, but I'm gonna start wearing protective gloves everywhere just in case. Killer cannibal. If you think piranhas are scary though, oh boy, I've got some news for you. Because this is the payara, or vampire fish, and it literally eats piranhas for breakfast. Like piranhas, payara are found in tropical South American waters. They hunt by darting into large schools of fish, panicking them, and using their long fangs to spear themselves a quick snack in the chaos. These fangs can grow up to a whopping 6 inches long, hence the nickname vampire fish. And payara can retract them at will into a special nasal cavity in their upper jaw. That's right, this thing's bite is so nasty it's born with its own tooth holster. Yikes. Payaras don't just look mean either, they're also massive bullies who will chase away larger fish to secure themselves better hunting grounds. I'm not surprised bigger fish are scared of them either. Payaras are so aggressive they'll even eat each other. Thankfully they don't attack people though. In fact, the only issue humans have ever had with them are fishermen accidentally getting caught on those long fangs. But let's be honest, if you saw one swimming towards you, you'd be out of the water and into the garlic quicker than I can say Count Dracula. Devils in disguise. Back in April 1998, 17-year-old Dil Bahadur was swimming in India's Kali River when he was suddenly dragged beneath the water, never to be seen again. In the years that followed, 2 more people suffered the same mysterious fate. What few witnesses there were could only describe the perpetrator as a mud-colored water pig. Or even, the devil himself. And no remains from any of the victims were ever found. So what the hell was responsible? Well, it wasn't the devil, but it was a giant devil catfish. A what now? Commonly known as a goonch catfish, these absolute behemoths can grow to almost 7 feet and are more aggressive than their smaller relatives. Sometime after the disappearances, local villagers suspected the beast responsible had been feeding on the charred bodies of humans, discarded into the river from funeral pyres. Ugh. So a pyre was set up to lure it in, and sure enough, a record-breaking 161-pound goonch turned up, 3 times heavier than the average. The giant was finally captured and the mystery solved. But if you think goonch catfish are scary, wait until you see the Wells catfish. These colossi are the largest freshwater fish in Europe and can grow up to 10 feet long and weigh over 440 pounds. While they mainly stick to devouring small sea creatures, the biggest have been known to swallow turtles whole, and in one case, even an adult human. Wow. But even some smaller species of catfish prove themselves to be pretty terrifying adversaries. The aptly named electric catfish might not be able to swallow you, but it can send a brutal electric shock of up to 400 volts through its skin. That's more than enough to stun you, and if you were in deep water at the time, well, sayonara. A real mouthful. If you've ever walked along North America's Mississippi River, you might have seen a mysterious dark shape floating just below the surface. There could even have been a fin poking above the water like a shark. Rather than a shark, though, you're much more likely to have seen an American paddlefish. Although not as deadly as sharks, paddlefish are pretty similar, with one very obvious difference. They have a far more terrifying way of hunting their prey. The creepy fish can open their jaws super wide, so as they swim around in the murky depths, any small fish that get in their way are swept up and gulped down into their giant mouths. Most of the time, they prey on microscopic zooplankton, but just imagine if they were bigger. Ooh, on second thoughts, don't. They freak me out enough, and they're not even 5 feet long. Never mind any longer. I'd go as far as saying these things are so scary, they're jaw-dropping. Jurassic Gark. There are a lot of animals out there that look pretty scary, but are really harmless. However, when it comes to the alligator gar, its bite is just as bad as its bark. Alligator gars are fish found in various freshwater habitats throughout the southern U.S. and are known for their 2 rows of razor-sharp teeth. They use these alligator-like gnashers to chew up other fish, as well as small mammals floating along the surface of the water. And whilst they're unlikely to attack a human, would you take your chances? I mean, the gars aren't just scary, they're also enormous, measuring up to an intimidating 10 feet long. Yeah, there's no way I'd be hauling that bad boy in if I accidentally caught it in my net. What's more, they've been terrorizing the waters for over 100 million years, and each one can live up to 94. Damn, the last prehistoric geriatric monster I came across was my mother-in-law. Probably unlike my mother-in-law though, alligator gar eggs are highly toxic if ingested by humans. Oddly, the eggs aren't toxic to the fish that actually eat them though, so no one is really sure why they're poisonous in the first place. I can't say I'm complaining, to be honest. They don't look like they'd be great with bacon. Subaquatic serpent. In the animal world, successful hunters are rarely picky eaters. So if you ever find yourself face to face with a deadly Burmese python, you best believe it'll be looking at you like you're basted in barbecue sauce. This gigantic 23-foot long slithering monster is one of the world's largest snakes, and an excellent swimmer too, found in rivers throughout southern and Southeast Asia. Being so massive, it's got a lot of options when it comes to mealtime. Burmese pythons will chow down on anything from rats to fully grown deer and even alligators. So unsurprisingly, fishermen tend to avoid them at all costs. If they can, that is. You see, the pythons are ambush predators, happy to sit completely still under the water for half an hour at a time and wait for their prey to unknowingly pass by. Once the unfortunate victim gets close enough, the python darts forward and latches onto them with its sharp fangs before wrapping its powerful body around them. Then it begins constricting, tightening its grip on the animal until it's literally crushed the life out of them. Finally, it swallows them whole. What a way to go. And after a particularly big meal, say if it ate you, a Burmese python wouldn't have to eat again for up to 18 months. I've heard intermittent fasting is pretty effective for losing weight, but I didn't realize it could also help you crush your enemies. Sordid stinger. Has anyone ever told you size doesn't matter? Well, nobody said it to the giant freshwater stingray. This pancake from hell is 6 feet wide and packs a whopping 15-inch stinger sheath in toxic mucus that's powerful enough to pierce through bone. And even if at first you survive getting stabbed by the giant stinger, that doesn't mean you're in the clear. The toxins covering it can cause skin necrosis, which essentially means parts of the affected skin tissue die and rot away. Ugh. Even worse, the horrendous condition can only be treated by surgically removing the damaged areas. Jeez. If any stingrays are watching, I take back the pancake comment. I'll probably be fine because stingrays generally aren't aggressive to humans unless they feel threatened. But the problem here isn't aggression. You see, giant stingrays can completely camouflage themselves on the riverbeds of Southeast Asia and Borneo, where they live. Because of this, you could be going for an innocent paddle in the shallows when suddenly, BAM! You accidentally step on one of the invisible nightmares. And if that happens, there's a good chance that stinger's going straight into your leg like some kind of aquatic bear trap. Oh, man trap, I guess. Whatever. Make it snappy. If you saw this thing clambering out of the water towards you, you'd be forgiven for thinking the dinosaurs had come back from the dead. Fortunately, you'd be wrong. It's actually an alligator snapping turtle, and these beasts can bite with a force nearly 5 times their body weight. If it can do that to a Pepsi can, think about what it could do to your finger. Despite being less aggressive than other snapping turtles, they grow much bigger and will snap at nearly anything put in their way. And that bite can easily shatter bone. Of course, human fingers aren't their preference though. Snapping turtles are scroungers and will generally eat anything they can get their mouths around. But wait till you see the creepy method they have of luring in prey. The turtles hold their mouths open and wiggle their worm-like tongue around. Intrigued by this, curious animals come in to investigate. Only when they get close enough, the turtles smash down on them with that killer bite. Yep, there's no getting away from that. Unsurprisingly, this creature is considered highly dangerous and should be avoided at all costs. But you probably won't ever see one in the wild unless you're wandering the freshwater rivers of the southeastern United States where it lives. So before you even consider that, snap out of it. The Nutcracker. As a man, there's one injury I fear more than anything else. Luckily, I've managed to keep my downstairs didgeridoo safe for a long time now. Sadly, 2 fishermen from Papua New Guinea weren't so lucky. And it's all because of this monstrosity. It's a pacu fish. And yeah, it's horrifying. Those distinctive human-like teeth, whilst disgusting to look at, are perfect for crushing crustacean shells as well as nuts and seeds. And by nuts, I don't just mean the kind that grow on trees. Back in 2011, 2 Papuan locals were apparently swimming in a river when they were ambushed by one of the square-toothed terrors. The pacu didn't mess around either, going straight for both men's Willy Wonkas and attacking with such force it completely castrated them. Oh no, I need to go puke. Thankfully, there is some hope that the whole story is just a local legend and it remains unverified. But there's no way I'm going for a dip in any of Papua New Guinea's rivers anytime soon to find out. Thanks to Fishing Clash for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget to download the app today, and I'll see you out on the river. Which of those terrifying river monsters is going to make you lose the most sleep? And have I missed any you'd have included? Let me know down in the comments below, and thanks for watching.